Hello there. Now, annoyingly, when Jules and other Adam pitched doing a star rating video at the end of WWE pay-per-views, it was successful enough to be commissioned into a regular series. Now, even more annoying than that was the fact that neither of them had the foresight to not take their Christmas holidays until after Clash of Champions, so you're stuck with me, I'm afraid, the Dave Meltzer of Pizza, as I'm known on Twitter. Now, as myself, Phil and Wilborn discussed on last week's Wrestle Culture, expectations for Clash of Champions were lower than Big Donny T's approval ratings, but WWE has surprised us in the past, ended up with shows that were a lot more than merely the sum of their parts, so who knows? Well, we do, as it happens. So without further ado, I'm Adam from WhatCulture.com, and this is the official What Culture Wrestling star rating for every match at Clash of Champions. Now, I'm not actually supposed to do the pre-show, but given that A, RAWLEY vs RYDER was the only interesting story going into the show, and B, RAWLEY gave me the single funniest moment of my entire professional career here at What Culture by winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, you know what I'm talking about, I'm going to include it very quickly. Basically, it's a really interesting feud, and both men have already upped their games massively in terms of the promos they're delivering for it, and they just about managed to do that in the match itself as well. Heel RAWLEY is as well a real sight to behold at times, and if they want to do something with him in the mid-card after this feud, they're definitely going to be able to, although they probably won't. 2.5 stars. Next up, we had what many people, myself included, was the most predictable match of the night, the triple threat match for the United States title. Now, it feels like it's too early to take the title off Corbin, feels like it's maybe a little bit too soon to put it on Rude, so they've obviously added Ziggler in just to be involved in the pinfall at the end, and that was technically right, I suppose. After an admittedly quite slow start, things really got going in the second half of this match with the usual pin breakups and near falls, but the spots were very inventive and the three men kept the pace going really well as it built to the finish. They even got a "This is awesome" chant from those in attendance. The finish itself was a genuine out of nowhere moment with Ziggler catching Corbin in a zigzag as he was hitting Rude with the end of days. Now that's imaginative, that was interesting, it was quite a nice surprise to what was an already very enjoyable match, and we are going to give that 3.5 stars. Next, the tag team titles match, and if anything needed 2 referees, it was actually this one. WWE in the past normally, well, they excel really at the multi-man formula to such an extent that they can throw even the most limited workers into this sort of mess and come out with something fairly cohesive at the end of it, but this time it just did not work. In the end, we just started having like 2 matches at once that were both filled with double team spots, some being done by teammates, some being done by opponents. It was different, granted, but very disjointed at the same time. The finish was hot though, so there's that, and Rusev is now definitely the bona fide star that everybody except his goddamn employers knows that he is. In the end, he and Chad Gable as well, who I must say was absolutely excellent, nearly saved this from being the total mess Creative had booked it as, but sadly they just about fell short, so we're giving it 2.25 stars. However, I would just like to say on Rusev that if they have any idea whatsoever what they're doing, they're going to capitalise on this momentum he has single-handedly managed to get himself and push him quite hard going into WrestleMania. But far more likely, and remember me telling you this, they'll probably just have Reigns eliminate him at the Rumble to an absolute f***ing hurricane of boos, because that's what they always do. Next we had Charlotte versus NATALYA for the SmackDown Women's Championship in a lumberjack match, and fuck me pink, what a mess this was. Actually been quite difficult to get a star rating for, because we've been discussing it in the office, and as these things tend to do, they divide opinion a bit, but every single person out there thinks this is 1 star. And I think that's maybe being a bit generous. Now, bearing in mind that these two put on an absolute clinic in NXT back in 2014, I want to say, this match was, by comparison, the worst sack of overbooked, nonsensical, convoluted wasp shit I have seen in some time. This is what happens when you overinflate the women's division without having the conviction to give them the 2 matches per show they deserve. The understandably jaded and unenthused crowd could not get into this one bit, and try as they might to rouse them with some big spots, Charlotte's moonsault still being one of the best things in wrestling in my opinion, they simply couldn't do it. So to reiterate, 1 star for this, but both the women in the match and half of the ones on the outside deserve so much better. Next we had the Bludgeon brothers defeating BREEZANGO via pinfall in under 2 minutes. Now, I think a lot of people are entirely bored with their squash program already, but at the same time are not interested enough to see them move on to something else, which is a huge problem for the returning pair. The match itself was barely worth mentioning, and we are giving the whole sorry affair half a star. All right, I feel I'm being quite negative with all this. You'd never guess I was partially adapting a Michael Sidgwick article here, would you? So I'm going to tell you what I really liked about Owens and Zayn versus Orton and Nakamura. 1, Owens and Zayn as a tag team are still incredibly entertaining. 2, this was technically Daniel Bryan back in the ring for a match. And 3, Randy Orton took the pinfall. That's it though. That's it. The rest of it was just dumber than a bag of smashed crabs in my opinion. Every single move in this match was completely incidental to the painfully apparent Bryan versus Shane angle that we were going to get right at the end. And in fact, a lot of those moves felt intentionally basic so that they wouldn't overshadow the real story we were going to get during the finish. Like, these are 4 genuine big match workers, and they've had an absolute horror show here because of flailing roll-up attempts and abysmal, unbelievable storytelling. So let me just see if I can get my head around this completely. Shane wasn't going to count the 3 for the heels because he desperately wanted them to lose, but wouldn't disqualify Kevin Owens for putting Shinsuke Nax through a table. This whole double ref stipulation, the entire match itself, if I'm honest with you, had no reason to exist, but we still got it because they needed to set up another goddamn McMahon drama. Like, on paper, Owens and Zayn versus Nakamura and Orton is a fantastic wrestling match, but it's been completely ruined by sports entertainment and the now inescapable blind panic I have that they're gonna let Bryan work again, but only if it's with Shane at WrestleMania. And, oh no, please, quarter star. Worse than the squash. Thankfully though, the show didn't go out on this note, and we got what was a perfectly decent main event in the shape of AJ Styles defending his title against Jinder Mahal. Now, don't get me wrong, it wasn't a patch on the surprising and perfectly paced title change we got on SmackDown last month, but yeah, I enjoyed this. Now, from the offset, Jinder went for the ribs and Styles sold it superbly, but the longer it went on and the more they repeated that, the more obvious it was that Jinder didn't actually have a chance of winning. Now, don't get me wrong, nobody wants that. We've done the Jinder thing, but that's precisely the point, isn't it? If WWE could have tapped into that anxiety, if they could have really made us believe that, like, shit, he's not going to do it again, is he? If they got that in people's heads, then it would have kept everybody, myself included, a lot more invested in this. But this is, of course, an AJ Styles match, so in the end, it was a lot more entertaining than it had probably any right to be. His comebacks were explosive and fiery and kept you interested, and they very smartly did away with the interference spots that ruined every SmackDown pay-per-view this summer. So in the end, not quite 3 stars for us, but like 2 3/4. So pretty good. Oh, that's your lot then, and this is our completed scorecard for WWE Clash of Champions. Some good, some bad, some fucking woeful. A more fitting end to the dub in 2017 we could not possibly have asked for. Please do give us your star ratings in the comments below, or you can seek us all out on Twitter and hand deliver them personally if that's more your thing. You can like, share and subscribe as well while you're here. Why not make it our Christmas present? Anyway, until next time, I've been Adam from WhatCulture.com, and I'll see you soon.
Hey guys, thanks for making it to the end of the video. Aren't you a star? Don't forget to subscribe below, and also the people who made this video, they're right here, so go and follow them and give them some love. If you want to see more content, there's probably some stuff flowing up above my head. Why not check it out? It could be fun. I'm not your dad.